Channel 12 News. Once again, I'm Kristen Wright, your local news reporter for the evening. Tonight, we have another special guest with us, Tom Horn. He is Arizona's Attorney General. He was also Superintendent of Arizona Schools from 2003 to 2011. Tonight, he's going to give us his take on House Bill 2281 for the state of Arizona and how he feels it affects our state. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too. You know, the issue has become bigger than what it really needs to be. When this issue was introduced to me, basically what happened is a mother came up to me and she showed me a picture. I have it here and I'll show you in a few minutes, but she showed me a picture of something, a class project that came out of one of these classes. It was very deeply disturbing. And so after that I got my department to look into it and see what was going on in these classes, and that really disturbed me as well. The picture that she showed me was this, and I'll hold it up to the camera, but essentially it's really bad when I printed it off the internet, but essentially what it is you got kids that are standing in front of a high school, and they're in khaki shirts and khaki pants, and they got Ray-Ban sunglasses on and khaki berets, and they look like she described it as a Revolutionary Guard, something that come out of South America back in the 60s or the 50s. And I saw this and I said, why are we doing stuff like that? That's not something we should be doing, teaching in our public schools. And essentially what my department found was that these classes were teaching kids that they were oppressed, that their particular races, whether it be Hispanics, whether it be African Americans, they were being oppressed in some way, and that they needed to rise up and throw off this yoke of oppression. And I said that shouldn't be something that we'd be teaching in public schools, because personally, back when I graduated from college, I went and saw Martin Luther King when he did his March on Washington in the 1960s, and he told us that we should be judged on the content of our character and not the color of our skin, and I think that that's what we should be doing in our public school systems. And these classes are riddled with issues from the textbooks that they have, and I'll show you that here in a minute. But we shouldn't be teaching individual races that they've been oppressed. That if we want to teach a particular view of a race, that we need to teach it to all students. There's another thing that my department found out was that these classes were not being taken by a broad base of people, that Hispanics were gravitating towards the Hispanic studies class. The African Americans were going to the African studies class. And so it wasn't teaching other cultures about different cultures, it was teaching the same culture about their culture. And so I think that what we need to do is we need to spread that out, that we need to disseminate that we don't need to have students of a particular race just learning about their particular race, that we need to spread it out and have it to where these are integrated into the current social studies classes that we have. I think that's what we need to do. We need to judge people on their character, and that's what I think that we need to do. Another thing that was very disturbing was the titles of the books that we have. I mean, these are some of the covers of the books the textbooks that were being used in these classes, and you got one this looks like something off of a revolutionary poster, like I said, back from the 50s or the 60s. You've got oppression and critical race theory. You've got savage inequalities and things like that. These are the kind of things that are being taught in these classes. I just didn't think that they needed to be taught in the public school system, and that's why we brought this up. The 2281 basically says that we're going to get rid of ethnic studies, that we're going to take what is being taught in those classes, and we're going to disseminate them all across the curriculum. And that way that not just Hispanics are learning about Hispanic culture, that whites, that African Americans, everybody's learning about Hispanic culture, that whites and Hispanics are learning about African American culture. That's the purpose of this bill. It's not, it will get rid of ethnic studies, but it's not there to completely destroy the study of cultures and things like that. We want to integrate it into our social studies curriculum. There's numerous evidence of what's being taught in these classes. They had one of the students come up and testify during the proceedings, during the committee hearings for 2281. And she admits that when she was in class, that the essential element of everything that was being taught was that she was being oppressed as a Hispanic. And we just don't need things like that. So that's why we have 2281.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But one more question. Do you feel like this is more so a rural or urban issue within Arizona, or both?
Well, it's not necessarily to me. It's not an urban or a rural issue. I can see where the issue's been brought up of English as a second language, and I can see that. And I want to guarantee to that teacher that we're going to work to correct that issue. That we're going to essentially keep English as a second language in the school system. But what I don't want is I don't want kids being taught that they're oppressed, that because they're Hispanic or they're African American, that they're somehow different. That we need all races to come together and to be taught that, hey, there's different points of view, and that you don't need to learn just how your culture views it.
Well, thank you. We sure do appreciate you here being on Channel 12. It's an honor to meet you, Mr. Horn.
Thank you.